Today I'd like to talk about how God basically removed a tremendous amount of bitterness and unforgiveness and hurt from me when my wife filed for divorce. I told her that if she would go to counseling with me, that I would not use an attorney during the divorce proceedings. She agreed to go for about 6 weeks or so, so I did not use an attorney. But during the counseling process, the first or second session, the counselor noted that I had an incredible amount of anger towards her. I was full of unforgiveness and full of bitterness and full of hurt. Felt very betrayed by what she had done. Felt like I was a piece of trash that was thrown away after 17 years of being with her and basically trying to do my best for her. But anyway, the counselor was very alarmed because he had seen people before with that amount of anger and hurt in them, and he basically said that when he saw anger like that and unforgiveness like that, that basically it almost became a atomic explosion that basically destroyed the whole family. And we had a child. And, he was concerned that it not only would destroy me, but her, my ex-wife, and our son. Anyway, he didn't know what to do. He said he was at a total loss because I was just extremely angry. But within a couple of days, one evening, God spoke to me, and he gave me the scripture, Matthew 5:44, which says, this is what it says in the New King James Version, "But I say to you," this is God, "but I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you." I felt that my wife at that time hated me and was persecuting me, and I felt like the way she was treating me, I felt like she was my enemy. But God says to love your enemies, and he says to bless those who curse you, and he says to do good to those who hate you, and to pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. So what I started to do was I started to pray for my wife, who was soon to be my ex-wife. I started to pray blessings for her. Every time I prayed for my son, which would be several times a day, I prayed for my wife too. I mean, I earnestly prayed for her. And, like I said, I prayed blessings. I didn't pray anything evil upon her. And what it did was it really changed me tremendously. I just, all the unforgiveness, all the bitterness, all the anger was removed. The next week when we went back to see the counselor, all that bitterness was gone, all the anger was gone. The counselor said he never saw anything like it, and he asked me what happened and how it happened, and it basically became a testimony for this non-Christian counselor. He wanted to know what other advice God was giving me in terms of handling the divorce. But anyway, I just wanted to share that part of how God removed anger and bitterness and unforgiveness during my divorce, and hopefully that'll bless whoever's listening to this. And I'm going to share some other things that I learned during my divorce process, but just to begin with, I wanted to share that because if a person allows unforgiveness and bitterness to remain, it basically will destroy a person. It'll destroy their relationship with Christ. It'll just pollute their lives, fill their life up with darkness, and it will just ruin other relationships. Charles Stanley once said, holding on to unforgiveness is like grabbing a rattlesnake by the tail. You will get bitten, and it will poison you and all the relationships you have with everybody else, including your children, including your family. So I just hope and pray that this little teaching here on unforgiveness and the power of Scripture, Matthew 5:44, will help people get free. I know that when a person enters into a divorce, especially if you didn't want the divorce, more than likely you feel a tremendous amount of anger, a tremendous amount of bitterness, a lot of unforgiveness, especially if you tried to do all kinds of things during the marriage to please your mate and it just didn't work. So God tells us, Jesus tells us that we're supposed to let go of unforgiveness, and because if we don't, roots of bitterness grow, and unforgiveness basically will choke out our very life, and the emotions and stuff that go on in our brain in regards to unforgiveness and anger and bitterness are really toxic. It affects our health and everything else. So when God tells us to forgive, and we shall be forgiven, really, when we forgive somebody, we're released. We're releasing a prisoner, and that prisoner is us. So anyway, I hope this teaching blesses somebody.